Section 12. Who Was Who? Edited by Irwin L. Gordon. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recorded by Sean McGahey,
Isabella Denton,
and Laurie Ann Walden.
T. Taft. William Howard, a former fat and last Republican president of the United States who worshipped the trusts, the Constitution, the Supreme Court, and Theodore Roosevelt. The love he bore the latter resulted in his election. The two brothers quarreled because Bill would not step aside and let Teddy run things all over again. The two brothers fought, and another ran away with the election. Principal events during Taft's administration: Roosevelt's trip, the Outlook, Oyster Bay, Standard Oil, that election. Ambition, 1916. Recreation, golf, messages to Congress. Address, Cincinnati, Ohio. Epitaph: how sharper than a serpent's tooth it is to have a thankless predecessor.
Tanglefoot. He was the man who first stuck flies on flypaper.
Tangaway, Eva, an actress who did not care even if those on the front row did.
Tennyson, Lord, an English poet who turned a perpetual light on a charging brigade.
Terry, Ellen, a dear old lady whom the world wishes the footlights might always shine upon, and upon whom the curtain would never descend.
Thaw, Harry Kay, famous lawyer endower. Entered life as the rich son of a wealthy father. Became interested in the stage at an early age, but only got as far as the chorus. Later performed on a New York roof garden. Alienists say he was the sanest crazy man and the craziest sane man who ever lived. Also obtained some publicity by expensive exploring in Canada and New Hampshire. Ambition, wreaths for Jerome. Recreation, straightening jackets. Address, see this morning's paper.
Themistocles, a Greek warrior who fought but did not run a marathon.
Third, Richard a king of England who showed how much he thought of the country by offering to exchange it for any kind of a horse.
Thumb, Thomas, a white pygmy who enriched himself through his misfortunes and the curiosity of the world.
Tiberius, just a Roman emperor who fitted the job.
Tiffany, of New York City, London, and Paris. Introduced high prices into the jewelry business. Greatly admired by fiancés and millionaires. Has gained considerable fame, as his products will pawn on a good margin. Ambition, a man in love. Editor's note: this is not an advertisement, as the editor is not an actress.
Time, father, a very old man who has been introduced to everybody. Very unpopular with the ladies. A great wound and sorrow healer, but unkind to the old. He went about the world changing babies into men and women, and placing gray hair and wrinkles where they were never wanted. Author of Tears. Recreation, reaping. Address, your home. Epitaph, ad finem.
Tintoretto, a Venetian painting manufacturer. Together with Paul Rubens, he held the record for covering canvas and wearing out brushes. Recreation, he never had any.
Titian, another painter of Venice. His works have always been popular with the men. They are exhibited in all European galleries, and cause consternation among clergymen and schoolteachers. T certainly could paint. Ambition, models. Recreation, models.
Tolstoy, a voice out of the dark.
Tom, see Richard and Harry.
Tom, uncle, an old Negro actor who appeared in every city, town, village, and hamlet in the United States north of the Confederate States. His history was written by Mrs. H. B. Stowe, and was the match which kindled the Civil War. The Northerners have since learned that all Negroes are not Uncle Toms, and are wondering whether any mistakes were made back in 1861.
Tourists, T.H.E., a man and woman who carried a camera, bought postcards, read Baedeker's, visited Cook's office, rode in carriages, and then told their friends all about the trip. Ambition, just one look at everything. Address, principally Europe. Epitaph, they came, they saw, they vanished.
Troy, Helen of, a peach of a girl who eloped with a man and caused the longest siege in history to make her elope back again.
Turner, J.M.W., an English painter whose paint exploded on canvas.
Twain, Mark, an American who wore long white hair, made after-dinner speeches, received university degrees, and made people laugh.
Twins, Siamese, two men who were closer than brothers.
Twist, Oliver, one of those unfortunates whose history had to be divulged for the financial gain of a great writer and many theatrical managers.
Uffizi, an Italian who prevented scores of the old masters from starving to death by filling his house in Florence with their canvases. Since the Morgan art raid, the market price has advanced and Uffizi's investment has become profitable.
Ulysses, warrior, inventor, and traveler. Sprang into fame at the siege of Troy, where he invented the horse which recaptured Helen. Escaped from Polyphemus, a one-eyed giant, by sticking a burning telegraph pole in his eye. Later performed his greatest feat by evading the Sirens. Stayed away from home so much his wife forgot what he looked like. His dog, however, recalled the scent and prevented Ulysses from sleeping in the barn. Press agent, Homer. Recreation, travel, wars. Address, Ithaca.
Underwood, Oscar, known as Underwood Bill, a gentleman from Alabama who walked in a presidential but ran in a senatorial race. He had something to do with the high cost of tariffing.
Unknown, the man who painted thousands of pictures in art galleries. Velázquez, Spanish canvas coverer. In the absence of the camera, he was appointed the court oil photographer, exposed a portrait of Philip IV in every gallery in the world. Art textbooks think a great deal of Velázquez.
Vanderbilt, an American family of means who possess a few railroads, much of New York City, some splendid divorces, and a weakness for Newport and newspapers.
Van Dyck, beard inventor and artist. A Dutchman who invaded England with portraits and his tonsorial achievements.
Van Houten, he was the man who put cocoa in tin boxes.
Venus, a dream of a girl who lived long ago, posed for her statue and had to die after everybody fell in love with her. Was born and painted at sea. Married at an early age. Was a regular heartbreaker. V had an affair with one Adonis, and later with Vulcan. Not much is known of her old ladyhood, as she refused to pose for statues when advanced in years. Ambition, Parisian gowns, the love of the gods. Recreation, love. Address, the Louvre, Paris. The Uffizi Gallery, Florence. Clubs, she was too good-looking to be a suffragette.
Vercinez, Paul, decorator of the Doge's Palace, Venice, and contributor to most galleries. His work was nearly as prolific as Rubens', and 2 or 3 of his paintings compare favorably with the naughty Titian.
Vespasian, the man who built the Colosseum in Rome for the tourists.
Vespucci, A., an enterprising journalist who arrived on the scene after the discovery had been made. Vespucci wrote the story in such a clever manner he succeeded in cheating the discoverer out of naming the place. See Columbus.
Victor, he was the man who put the fox terrier in front of the talking machine.
Vinci, Leonardo da, painted Mona Lisa for the Louvre, Paris. His reputation has soared in proportion to the duration of her absence. Ambition, to be the Morgan family painter. Recreation, looking for purchasers. Epitaph, he has finished his last supper.
Virgil, an old textbook writer, had something to do with the Aeneid.
Virgin, Vestal, an old maid of Rome who was locked up in the Forum for protection. She attended the gladiatorial contests and played with her thumbs.
Vetus, saint, dancing master whose repertoire did not include the turkey trot.
Voltaire,